Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Stack Card interview with Jay Bradley, Aiden O'Shea, also known as the Thug, TNA Impact Wrestling. We're going to be interviewing him, talking about his career and his current ventures in TNA and what he is up to now. He did wrestle Bobby Lashley a few months back, and before Bobby Lashley got to the world title, now he's a world title contender. He's going to face Galloway at Slammiversary for the TNA World Title. Aiden O'Shea put the fight to him. You could go see that match on TNA YouTube page. Check that out.
Yep. He was also involved in the World Title Series going back to the fall. He was part of the wild card bracket. So, he's just a brawler, really entertaining wrestler to watch, really entertaining on Twitter, so you can give him a follow as well. So
took out one half of the TNA World Champion, Tag Team Champions. He took out Crazy Steve in that tournament as well.
Yeah.
So, pretty cool. So, we're going to give him a call and get this interview rolling. Not like Limp Bizkit rolling.
We're rolling.
Yeah, or the woman who drives the local bus around here. Well, I'll tell a quick story while Kevin types a number. So, we take buses, sometimes, and, being in the city and whatnot. And there's this woman, when you get in the bus, she starts singing, and she says it loud, and she's like, all right, folks, we're rolling. Here we go, we're rolling. And, it's a good time. It's always a good time.
It's always good when you're rolling.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
Let's
Give him a call.
Did you do the update for the Galaxy?
I did.
Hey, Aiden, it's
1 second, let me
disconnect. That's who it is.
Yeah.
So, for those that don't know, he's also a camp. He trains people at Al Snow's camp.
Hi, Aiden. This is Kevin and Matt from the Stack Card. Hello?
Hello? Aiden, this is Matt from the Stack Card. How are you? Service might be low. Let me see.
Oh. Yeah, it's low service.
All right.
Hello?
Hey, Aiden, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. All right. Hey, this is Kevin along with Matt from the Stack Card. How you doing today?
Speak a little bit clearer.
I got full service. I'll use my phone.
Okay. 1 second. We'll try to call you on another phone line.
No, it's better now. You just told me you guys were in can for a minute there.
Oh, okay. All right. You never know with service sometimes. All right. Hopefully we don't have any issues. So how's it going so far today? All right?
Yeah, it's going all right, man. Just got a little bit of a lift in and just kind of enjoying the weekend now. It's nice weather out here in Chicago, so just kind of chilling out in the yard.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, I mean, this is the weekend for it, Memorial Day, so I'm sure the weather's great over there, right?
Yeah, man. It's like something like in the 80s somewhere, sunny and clear, so no complaints here, man.
Oh, awesome. So, do you mainly live in Chicago? I mean, obviously you do work with Impact, so are you frequently going back and forth between locations?
No, man, I'm stationed here. Like, I'm from the Chicagoland area. I live just outside, if you want to call it the city limit, so to say. So I'm in the Chicagoland area. That's where I've been born and raised. And even though I've bounced around a lot as far as moving for wrestling and when I was with WWE and then was with TNA before, I kind of always come back here. It's home. Most of my family's here. I'm comfortable here, so it is what it is.
That's great. It's always good to stay close with family, especially when, you do travel and you do go out and perform in many different areas of the world,
Yeah, it's always been home base, like I said. It's always kind of where I've come back to, so,
of course.
No complaints here.
Are you a Cubs fan or White Sox fan?
I'm a White Sox guy. I grew up going to the Sox games. I'm not one of those guys that hates the Cubs. I will sarcastically and jokingly, rile up the Cubs fans because, I think they're one of the most passionate fan bases in all of sports. But it's funny to get them all riled up, whether they're doing great or they're doing terrible. Like, they're a very passionate bunch, but they're just too easy to pick on.
both teams are doing really good this season so far.
Yeah, definitely, man. I think for a while we were both in first place. I don't know if both teams are still there, but they're definitely on the right path this season.
Yeah, we'll see. Hopefully, at least one of them can bring the championship back to Chicago, because I follow the Cubs as well, and we've just had some terrible seasons. But I think this year it seems like we have it all set. We have all our ducks in a row, and I think we can actually go somewhere.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I think the Epstein regime has really turned things around in a very good way. They built from the ground up, and then they added in a few pieces of free agency, which, if you really want to build a good team in pro sports nowadays, I'm of that opinion where, you can't go out and just sign a bunch of guys away and expect them to gel and have chemistry and play well. You can have a couple pieces like that, like they have, but a lot of it's got to be developed and come up through the ranks, either as a draft or the minors. I think you build some loyalty there. You groom them to be the players you need, not to try to go out and buy the player you need. So I think that's that's been the huge part here as far as the Cubs go.
Of course, I actually, to relate it to Impact Wrestling, that's kind of what I feel like TNA is doing at the moment. We used to have a lot of guys like Sting, Angle, even Hogan, and now that those guys are gone, it really seems like Impact is building with a younger talent. I mean, Andrew Everett, Trevor Lee, they're about 22, 23 years old each. Yourself, there's a lot of talent who, hasn't really gotten that spotlight on television.
No, I agree, and I think that's one thing that I think TNA has done very wisely in the last year or so, and that's not a knock on any of the, the more established talent that's there or has been there, but I think a big thing that the wrestling business thrives on is unique and fresh matchups.
Yeah.
With not only the fresh matchups, you get, for the new guy or the new face, but the existing talent. Now they've got someone new to work with and wrestle and tell stories with. So I think that's a plus from the talent side of things. And then from if you want to look at it from a business and a corporate side of things, it's great to develop your own talent to create a brand uniqueness. Like these are your guys, these are your talent. You're not going to see these guys or haven't seen a lot of these guys, in another major company yet. So you can groom them. There's a little bit of brand loyalty there. Hopefully, if both parties are treated well and, the business end from the office standpoint and the talent standpoint. But then, their homegrown talent. This isn't a guy that you took from somewhere else that was seen, worldwide or nationwide in another major company. It's someone that you found, if you want to say, you planted the seed, you harvested, you groomed it.
Yeah.
And I think TNA did a really good job of that, early on with, the guys like Bobby Roode and Eric Young and James Storm. Then later, you're like a Samoa Joe and AJ Styles, of course, Abyss. Like, a lot of those guys, they did really, really well for themselves. So yeah. I think that's what they is doing right now very well. Like, it's a little bit of you want to say like a 2.0 or a renaissance where there's a good infusion of fresh faces, guys like myself who really haven't been established on the main stage yet, and the young guys that haven't been seen anywhere before. I think it's an exciting time as far as that goes for the company from an internal standpoint and from a fan standpoint. Like, you don't know what these seeds are going to get harvested into. You don't know what these talents are going to grow into because you haven't seen them before. You haven't seen them interact with each other, or like the Hardys much before, or a Lashley or a Galloway. So it's an exciting time, I think.
And we're also seeing different sides of those established talents. Like, Matt Hardy now is also playing this dark type of, almost like a very evil character. He wants to delete his brother Jeff, and so that's a different side from Matt than we've ever seen, because on WWE he had that mad attitude. He was more like funny, joking around. He was still a heel, but we see a different side of him. And same thing with Lashley and Galloway, where I mean Galloway was always pretty tough, but as far as like that physical style that they're allowing them to go at it, like this coming up match, Slammiversary, it's Galloway Lashley. It's either knockout or tap out. No pinfalls allowed. So I think that's really cool that you're letting those guys use their styles from outside the wrestling business and bring it into wrestling.
No, I agree, and I think that's another thing that TNA has done really, really well. Is there, at least from my opinion and my perspective, I think there's a little bit more receptive to feedback and from the talent, and applying that, or letting the talent, not being so restrictive or hands-on, allowing the talent to really shine through. Again, that's something else that I find really exciting about Impact Wrestling. I think you guys can kind of see that also too with, the NXT brand, the WWE, where like it's a younger talent or more inexperienced or less established talent, and they get to go out there and find themselves, if you want to say that, or find their style, find what works for them as a personality in the ring and their style, and then WWE is allowing them or finding ways to utilize it.
Yeah.
Which, that to me as a wrestler, that's a lot more exciting than, being told, you have to wrestle a certain way, or you have to, do things a certain way. There's always that aspect of our business because, we're businessmen and we have to do what the boss tells us to, but when you get to have a little more fun and put your spin on it, you get a little bit more passionate about your work and you have a little more fun with it.
Of course. Yeah, I mean, like we've seen someone like Eli Drake, who has never really been into the world title picture. He had a pretty decent competitive match with our world champion Drew Galloway a couple of weeks ago. So that just shows that anybody could really be a world title contender. There's not many squash matches, so to say. There's not like, all right, you're just going to go in there and just completely annihilate him within 30 seconds. Like Tyrus, for instance, I think has had 2 main events. He's been in 2 main events over the past month or so. I know he faced Drew Galloway for his title, and then he also, he had this handicap match, him and Spud versus Jeff Hardy, and for the ladder, in a ladder match. And then he also had a last man standing match with DC3. So Tyrus also is a perfect example of somebody who really has the talent but never really got to shine on television, and Impact is letting him pretty much grow that plant, plant the seed and grow.
No, I agree. That's again, it's a perfect example. Different talent is getting, it's an exciting time where different talent is getting moved up and down the card and shown in different lights, or getting to show a different side of myself. I mean, or a side of themselves. I mean, myself as an example. Prior, 2013, I was, wasn't given necessarily the opportunity I have now to show as much personality or things along that nature. I was pretty much directed by Creative at the time, like, hey, you're a rookie, but you look like you could pull tree trunks out of the ground and hit somebody with it, but you're still a rookie. So that that was my directive. Like, the Bound for Glory series was kind of step 1 and then step 2 and step 3 were supposed to be forthcoming, and unfortunately things changed. Leadership changed and directing changed. That happens. But now, as you guys saw, some of the stuff that I've done with Aiden O'Shea, or as Aiden O'Shea, with particularly at the pay-per-view with Spud, or just the way I've been able to bring a little bit different style. It's still the same style of wrestling, I feel, but it's brought to another level. And I've had good quality talent around me that has got behind it and allowed me to do it as well. I think that shows that the roster is a little bit hungrier. They want to go the extra mile. because they're new, they're fresh. They want to show the world what they can do, and they want to show the rest of the guys in the locker room what they can do. Because a friendly competition of getting up and down the card is always good for business.
Of course, and you never know which talent's gonna be on the show weekly. Sometimes, I mean, recently we've been seeing a lot of new faces. For instance, Raquel showed her face this past week, and we haven't seen her since she was doing that angle with Lashley, where she was pretty much distracting him during his matches. She actually came out in your match with Lashley as well, and now she's working with the Bromance. Also, we've seen Sienna, Cherry Bomb, all these female talents coming in as well. So it's exciting for all parts, I think. Tigre Uno resigned with TNA. So he resigned in the X Division's very explosive because Eddie Edwards is also on his own at the moment. So you got Trevor Lee, all those guys kind of rejuvenating the X Division. And they had that Ultimate X match, and I can't remember the last time I seen one of those. So it was very exciting to see that. The knockouts are on the rise. I think up and down the card, TNA is just doing everything a wrestling program should do at the moment. And you defeated Samuel Shaw, correct? Back on June 2nd on Slammiversary.
What was that again? I'm sorry.
You defeated Samuel Shaw, Slammiversary, a couple of years ago in Boston, I believe.
Oh yeah. Yep, that was the gut check challenge final, so to say, and then that's how we got in the Bound for Glory series.
Yeah, I was actually there live. I remember seeing that match. It was a very good match, I must say, too.
Well, thanks. I mean, I think Sam was a little bit underrated. I should say very underrated as a talent. I'd like to see him get back to TNA.
Yeah.
I didn't see a whole lot of him being the creepy bastard. And to me, like, he was a very good, fan favorite. Like, at least when I saw him when I was around him in OVW, like, he had like that extreme sport edge to him. The surfer, skateboard, artist guy. And I thought he did that really, really well because it was really him. Like, he connected really well with that.
Yeah.
And he had, a pretty solid, good fighter as a babyface. And I thought there was something more to it there that they could have run with if given the opportunity.
Definitely. Yeah, I've always been a pretty big follower of Samuel Shaw as well. I thought it was good. I think, definitely could have done more with him, but there's always future opportunities if he ever decides to come back and they take him back. That would be awesome. I think he'd fit in really well right now with all the talent they have.
I agree. He can mix it up with a lot of guys, the X Division guys, and some of the larger guys as well.
Of course. Where do you see yourself on the TNA card within the upcoming months? Do you see yourself fitting in any type of situation or feud, or is there anyone you have your eyes set on?
You know what? Like, I just want to be part of the roster a little bit more. To be honest with you, I know some things have changed. There's been some things that were on the table, I guess. When people got hurt or people left the company and they've been scrapped or things have had to be shuffled around. And unfortunately, I've kind of been the odd man out. And I've just expressed to the company and the powers that be, so to say, like, hey man, I'm here. Like, let's rock. I think there's the fans want to see me on TV. I think I can add some really interesting dynamics to the television as a talent for the product overall. And I had some interesting matchups. Like, I'm not a small guy. I'm holding right about 6'4", about 255, right around there right now. I move really well for a big man, so I can get in there and go with some of the smaller guys. Not to say I'm not going to be a backflipping or be an X Division guy, but I can definitely throw down with those smaller, faster wrestlers and give you some interesting matchups. And it's not out of place to see two big guys like me and Tyrus or me and Abyss go at it. It's kind of like a linebacker, and an offensive lineman going back and forth. On any given day, you see that every day in pro football. You got a big 300, 350-pound man, You know, you got a guy about 250 going at each other. Some days, you know, the linebacker's going to win. Some days the offensive lineman's going to win, depending on the play. You know, I think I have that aspect to me. I think it can be utilized in a lot of different ways.
Yeah, definitely. And kind of going along those lines, you did mention having different styles of matches, pretend against somebody from the X division or a bigger guy like an Abyss. When you're wrestling matches, do you generally have a preference? Do you like sort of those fast-paced matches, or do you like matches maybe where you get to show off your power against another big guy?
You know what? I don't really have a style of match I like to wrestle. Like, you know, if anything, to me, I'm a big proponent and a big believer of a very realistic, reality feel aggressive match. You know, and whatever that is. You know, like I'm not one of these guys that's going to tell you, you know, do this, don't do that. And my point of view is, man, does this make sense? Is this believable? Like, so much we do in our business, I think, nowadays, and yeah, we stretch the imagination and we stretch the reality. That's part of the entertainment part of what we do. But I think what really makes a wrestler or a company successful, or that's going to drive ratings and business and whatnot, is keep people watching. Can you keep them engaged? Can you keep them believing in what's happening in that ring and what's happening within that TV program, or is it just crash test television to get a couple of oohs and ahs? So I think that's if anything, if I have a style or a preference, that's always kind of my perspective when I go into the match.
Yeah, and it definitely seems like that. And the other avenue where we can see that is also social media. Your Twitter page is always great for a read. You're always interacting with fans and posting some interesting content. So I'd imagine that today's age of wrestling is completely different from when you started. So how do you view that? Just the level of interaction and the way in which you can sort of share your story and your character with fans online now.
You know what? Like, I think that is kind of I think that's what people, like fans, gravitate towards wrestling for. Let's be honest. Like, there's movies, there's episodic TV, there's books, there's comic books, there's video games, and there's stuff that you can really literally get at point and click of a mouse or of your finger on a phone or a tablet nowadays. So the way people are entertained and how and when they're entertained is the big change. It's become more sophisticated. But I think the one thing that's always made wrestling special is the fact that when I say tangible, like it feels, if it's done well, it feels real. Like it's not just going to watch a screen and the talking heads on the screen or in a movie or a television show. It's, you can interact with these people, and I think as well as being a fan and watching the athletic contest or the athletic performance, being able to yell and get yelled back at, or to see this person walk by you and see the sweat on them or the marks on their body, like that's something unique. You don't get that in theater, you don't get that in movies, you don't get that in written word. So I kind of, that's my perspective on Twitter too. Like, unfortunately, I'm not on Impact TV right now, but it's one way that I've thought that I can, show what AidenO'Shea is all about, what the Thug is all about is on Twitter, and have people interact with me or interact with other members of the roster, so, people get a feel for what AidenO'Shea is and what he's in Impact Wrestling to do, or, just his personality. And it's worked really well. I think people get really entertained by it. People, I don't necessarily get to interact with everybody. Because there's some days that it just blows up, and there's some days that, I'm not feeling it because, I don't need someone to, hey, Aiden, hi, Aiden. Hey, Aiden, what's up, Aiden? Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's nothing for me to interact with. It's like, okay, hi. But, that's one thing that I just went on that's kind of unique to wrestling. You don't see, Tom Cruise, or you don't see, a big name actor or very many actors, interacting with people who are watching their film or watching their TV program. Mm-hmm. So again, like I just kind of embraced it and was like, hey man, I'm gonna have fun with this. Like if you guys want to interact with me and try to play internet tough guy with me. Like, all right, we'll butt horns, and I'm probably gonna win.
Of course. And I also seen on your Twitter page, there's a petition to get you back onto TNA. Did you start that petition, or was that a fan-made petition?
No, man, that was all fan made. The guys over, I think the fan site was TNA Asylum.
Oh, wow.
A big fan site that is just very grassroots, proactive, pro TNA group of guys. I know they have a podcast like yourself, so they just kind of recap, I think, what is going on TV and where they give their feedback, where they think things are going, or matches they liked. And there are a couple guys that started interacting with me, and throwing some tweets my way. So I started just giving it back, and they like what I do, and they've become big fans of Aiden O'Shea and what the Thug is. And they want to see it on TV. So they told me they were going to do it, and of course, what wrestler is going to turn down free publicity or
Yeah.
So I was like, hey guys, I appreciate any of the support. It just goes to show that, hey, the fans do want to see me do my thing in Impact Wrestling, and so much so that there's some people that are so passionate about it, about the product, or wanted to see me be a part of it, that they're vocal and they're putting their voices out there to be heard.
Yeah, that's awesome. I really hope it falls through. And, I mean, I think TNA would be the company that would do it. I mean, as we've seen in the past, just seeing Dixie Carter's Twitter page, she's always interacting with fans and asking them what they want. So, I mean, if you're in demand, I'm sure you'll get on TV in no time.
Yeah, man, that's kind of my point of view right now. It's like, earlier this year I was pretty stressed out about it, and I was dealing with a lot of, so-called bullshit outside the wrestling business, and, I was really anxious to get something going for myself with Impact. I guess maybe I had a little bit of a chip on my shoulder, because, things didn't go so hot in 2013, and I really wanted to get it going. But I'm also, I guess I've matured as I've gotten older, where as far as business goes, where, I think I'm a firm believer everything happens for a reason, man. Maybe it wasn't the best time to put me out there, and there's things that I don't know, even being involved in the company, that goes on behind closed doors in in a business office, or ratings, or television direction, or advertising. I mean, there's all this shit that goes on that I'm not privy to, fans aren't privy to. So sometimes I think I got to take a breath and just put things in perspective. I'm still injury free. I'm still relatively young and healthy, and I'm in the prime athletic years of my life, and I can still go. My time will come. Unfortunately, maybe it's just priming the starter up a little bit, or letting the fans whistle, whatever the analogy you want to put on it, to and then when the time comes, I've got no doubts that I'll be able to step up to the plate and put the ball into play.
Yeah, definitely. And we've seen you play that character in the past, and we've seen you, like you said, you're 6'4", 255 pounds, is it?
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Yeah, you're a pretty tough guy, big body, I think definitely from a fan's perspective, I think you have a lot of charisma. I've seen your interviews on TNA, definitely through the championship series and whatnot. I believe you cut a promo on Kenny King. You did a backstage interview regarding your match with him, and I just thought it was excellent. It was very short, but it was very good, and it's charismatic. And I think what TNA is going for too, especially with Eli Drake, EC3, Mike Bennett, it's all charismatic guys that can do it in the ring as well. And I definitely think you fit right into that brand for sure. And I know that you were also involved with Al Snow's Wrestling Academy. Is that right?
Yeah, Al, I've been there's no secret. I think if you follow me, Al's been, a mentor to me in a lot of ways. I joke a lot of times that Danny Davis from OVW is my wrestling father, and Al is my wrestling uncle. So, I jokingly call him Uncle Al sometimes, and he just rolls his eyes at me. I just learned so much from those two individuals, and I think working with both of them at OVW, and more so, Al on a daily basis, but Danny giving me the tools and the building and the events to work on, really let me come into my own, and really drew me to be a true professional wrestler, not just another guy in there doing moves. And he had given me the ability to make good business decisions for myself. And when Al had this started up, I heard about it. I was like really, really envious. I was like, man, I didn't even say anything to him until I heard about it on social media. I was like, man, how cool is that? Like, I would love to be a part of this. And then about a month later, his business partner actually contacted me and was like, hey, like me and Al have been talking. We'd love to add you to the coaching staff. And, of course I said yes, we're still trying to, the place have literally been open for about a month this weekend.
Oh.
It opened up the last weekend in April. It's in London. And every time I see pictures on like social media, or, I kind of get a little bit excited and anxious, to want to get over there. They got about a 6,000 square foot building. They've got 2 pro rings. They've got a 6-sided TNA style ring. They've got amateur mats. I've heard that they're getting ready to get some weight equipment or strength training equipment in there too. And it's exciting, man. It's still in its infancy stage. They've got some sort of business agreement with Impact Wrestling, and they've got a bunch of other affiliations throughout Europe. The UK promotions, I think, are like red hot right now as far as the independents go. They're probably like the hottest scene in the world. They've got places in Germany, they've got places in Italy, the Middle East, like Qatar, I think South Africa as well. So, like, they've got all these places where they've set up affiliations to send their coaches to help pass on knowledge, to help make the business better, and then to send their students places to wrestle and get experience. So it's exciting. Like, I'm kind of chomping at the bit to get that going for myself and to get something going for myself at TNA. We're still kind of working on the scheduling of it all because, like I said, it's only been open for about a month, and I think they're just kind of solidifying how many students they've got in, and get the tuition, the business end of things set before they, commit to anything as far as when they're going to bring me over and for how long and all that. But no, I think Al has, as a trainer, I think has really left himself, and he's still building quite a legacy. Al, I think, was a very underrated talent in the ring for a long time, and he'll tell you he learned the hard way, but the guy's been in wrestling longer than I've been alive almost, and you think about the last 10 years, and major companies, WWE and TNA, and even some of the guys abroad doing stuff in Japan, like Al's helped mold them in one way, shape, or form, coming through, OVW, or being as an agent, a coach in the back at TNA. So he's left his mark on a lot of guys in a big way in this industry. So I definitely don't doubt it. I have no doubt that it's going to be one of the premier places to train. And I'm excited to see how it evolves in the future going forward because, he's done so much in such a short period of time. Since, that launch, like what's it going to be in a year or 2 years down the line? So I think it's going to be pretty exciting.
Yeah, that's awesome. It definitely sounds like a really great project that's going to have a lot of potential. I'm sure you guys are going to be bringing in some great high-level talent that are going to go on to perform for some large promotions. So, in the past, have you actually been involved with training?
You know what? Like, I want to say I've dabbled with it a little bit, and I don't mean that in it's not something I take lightly. I was broken in by some guys here in Chicago, Danny Dominion, Ace Steele, Kevin Quinn. Ace went on to do quite a bit of stuff for himself. WWE contract, TNA, did some NOAH stuff. Kevin was an international guy, big time in Puerto Rico, Mexico, and a little bit in Japan. Danny did a lot of stuff internationally before he left the business. But, I was broken in, I don't want to say the hard way. I didn't get stretched and beat up, and I didn't have to, I went to a wrestling school, but they taught me respect. They taught me, you got to earn your way in still. And then with that, going through the developmental system and working with a lot of these, agents and coaches for both companies, and especially with, guys like Dr. Tom, who's really, really old school, and Al, Danny Davis, Robert Gibson, the Armstrong family, just, so many guys that, I learned the right way to do things. I learned the proper way to do things, and I don't want to sound like an arrogant guy about that, but not a lot of guys are taught the right way nowadays. So I think, if I can get in there and, like when I was in OVW in 2013 with TNA, Frank Miller, who was running OVW, and Danny Davis, I don't want to say they didn't rely on me, but they were often, hey, can you step in and fill in for the beginner class? Can you step in and do a tape-review session? And I love doing that stuff. I like helping guys to make them better, to show them things that maybe they don't see in themselves, because, that's what those guys did for me. Al seeing things in me that I wasn't aware of or didn't know how to utilize, or Danny doing the same thing, or Dr. Tom doing the same thing, and showing them, hey, guys, you got all this potential over in this direction. You're working real hard going the other way, but you got more room to run over here and a lot more potential. Trying to people think outside the box, or just showing them new points of view that I've been exposed to. That's something I've done probably the last 5 to 6 years. And then even here in Chicagoland area, when I'll do indies, I always offer guys like, hey man, if you guys need help with matches or need ideas or want to run something by me, I'm here. I'm gonna be honest with you about it. If it sucks, I'm gonna tell you it sucks, but I'm gonna tell you why, because I want you to get better. I want the show to get better. And there's a few guys here that that have asked me for help, almost kind of like direct tutoring, if you want that, where we found some ring time and rented out some space within a ring for a couple hours a week, and I just let them pick my mind and work with them and try to help these guys out to make them better. I really want wrestling to thrive. I want wrestling to get better. I want the talent to rise, and not just be one of these guys that, all right, here's a few basic gymnast / lucha rolls, and here's how you run the ropes, and here's how you land on your back, and all right, go start jumping off the ropes and throwing each other on your head. There's so much more to this business that you can't ever master it, and you just keep learning and keep getting better. So I guess that's kind of my point of view on it, where I'm just it's something I enjoy. It's something I will jump at the chance to do, especially with the school and the academy opening up. If the opportunity's there in the future, great. If it's not, well, I'll do something else, I guess. So.
Yep. Of course, and we're still seeing Al Snow wrestle. He wrestled this past week. He wrestled Grado on Impact. And I'm thinking, with your affiliation with him, this could be a great way, not only to promote the academy, but also to involve you into the storyline. Let's say they have, I know Drew Galloway, he had his Rise Up crew. It was, I believe, Eli Drake, Drew Galloway, and was it Mika?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking let's say Mahabali Shera Grado get Micah, they take out Al Snow. Let's say they just, injure him the way he injured Grado. Then all Al Snow has is this new French team that just debuted. So that would make it 2-on-3. You could be a third person. You could team up with those two French guys to take out Micah, Grado, and Mahabali Shera. And I can imagine you and Mahabali Shera going head to head in the ring, Similar body structure. That would be sick.
I could smack that mud around pretty well, I think. I've done it a couple times.
Mm-hmm.
I can't even talk shit to the guy because I don't think he can understand me. His English is so poor, and he talks like he's got a bunch of marbles in his mouth all the time. But if that's on the table, I would jump at the opportunity to obviously not only get going again in TNA, but to get in the ring with Al. I think that would probably bring some new things out of me. Just because and I say it with, some admiration, like, Al's in the best shape of his life probably right now.
Yeah.
And, and he's been around so long that, you probably I would doubt I would probably learn a few new tricks, you know what I mean? Like, especially nowadays. So, I mean, I would jump at the chance to be something like that, but, that's one of the things where I keep saying online, like my hands are kind of tied.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting in detention. Like, I can keep swinging if they take the handcuffs off. If they don't, I'm going to sit in the corner with the gun stand on for a little while longer and, bite my tongue the best I can.
Of course. Well, and like we were saying earlier, too, with social media, you can kind of make that presence without being on television. I'm not sure... Do you work with any vines or whatnot, make like short video clips, cutting promos outside of the company? I'm not sure if you're allowed to do that, or like promos from home.
No, they haven't put me on any restrictions, or they haven't told me to do or not do anything. You know what I mean?
Oh, great. Yeah.
I'm to be honest with you, I'm just not too tech savvy. To be honest with you, like I'm a point and clicker guy, and I do work away from the wrestling ring. I have another job and another career path. Mm-hmm. So just finding the time to actually do some of that is a little bit limited. Mm-hmm. Something I've thought about doing, but again, it goes back to having the time, and then would I really be. I don't have to be comfortable with it where I would want to like re-edit it or reshoot it, and get into all that kind of stuff. Yeah. But no, it's something, it's crossed my mind. Maybe I'll do it in the future, maybe I won't. But I'm having fun just with the stuff that I do now. So.
Of course, and I mean, like you said, you really went through. You came into the business the tough way, and I think that's what Al Snow's basically promoting with his in TNA Weekly right now. He's saying he's the Donald Trump of TNA, so. It's a great story. I'm enjoying it a lot.
Yeah, Aiden, and I know you were going back a couple of points. You were talking about training and sort of instilling a mindset on the current generation of wrestling and making sure that they do learn, a lot of the traditional moves and the classical methods, but at the same time, sort of distinguishing themselves. What's your take on sort of this generation of wrestlers versus the generation of wrestlers when you first started? Do you think there's that big of a gap, and which era do you think would maybe produce some more talent?
Man, that's a hard question. Like, I think social media has changed changed a lot of things in society, including entertainment. I think, unfortunately, nowadays, getting trained to be a wrestler, any guy on social media who can, get in a ring or buy a ring or get a pair of boots made or not even boots made nowadays, like, they think sometimes they think they can just be a pro wrestler, and there's a lot more to it. But, I think there's been a correlation with a lot of things nowadays. Like, the more Twitter followers you have, the more famous you are, the more successful you should be, or the more YouTube views or what have you. That's not always a good thing. So I think sometimes in today's world, a young talent is maybe overexposed too soon, or shown, or given too much too soon because they get that quick bit of, point and click instantaneous fame or overnight fame. They don't know how to make it last. They don't know how to maintain it, or they don't really know why they're getting it. And it's like a flash in the pan sort of a thing. Going back to, what I've learned throughout my career is how to make good business decisions for myself, or how to handle myself. As far as when more talent is, I think, honestly, unfortunately, I just think the business hasn't changed so drastically because it's still pro wrestling. We're still selling pro wrestling. But I think the talent from years past was, without a doubt, more talented. Not necessarily... The people today are probably more athletically gifted with some of the things we see them do. But as far as being pro wrestlers, the further you go back, I think the more talent you're going to find, just because guys were wrestling a lot more. For instance, like TNA, we're going to tape our television product, 3 to 5 days a month, and then you got guys that'll pick up independent bookings on the weekends or throughout. So I take a guess how many times a month they're wrestling, maybe 20, I don't know. Just throwing it out there where you got a guy that came up through the territories or, in the 80s, you were doing 7 to 10 matches a week.
Yeah.
That's a lot more experience and experience in a larger crowd on a regular basis and, in different ways that guys nowadays just aren't going to be able to experience, just the way the business has changed and the way entertainment is delivered and all this other stuff. So I think today's guys are better athletes. I think they take better care of themselves as athletes and overall health and wellness, but I think the talent pool is undoubtedly deeper as far back you go as far as time goes.
Yep. Well said. I mean, you make a lot of good points. I think, definitely social media has an impact on it, but the athleticism is really through the roof today. And looks like, unfortunately, we're just about out of time, but Aiden, we're really happy that you're able to join us today. Really enjoy the discussion. I mean, you're always welcome to come back down the road. We'd always like to catch up. But before we send off, do you have any events coming up that you'd like to promote? And you can also list your social media.
No, man, just social media is Aiden O'Shea, TNA, AidenO'Shea, TNA. Some days I'm, depending on the schedule or what people are shooting at me, like I'm on there like all day just kind of, goofing off and doing my thing. Or some days if it's quiet, I'll be quiet,
Yeah.
Other than that, you never know where I'm going to pop up or what I'm going to pop up at, back in TNA. Slammiversary's coming up. It's one of the big pay-per-views of the year. So, maybe I'm going to get thrown up in the mix in the next couple months. You never know.
Yeah.
So, stay tuned. The wrestling has been, I think, really, really good lately. I think it's been a really solid TV wrestling program, since we've come on to Pop. But, hey, man, you don't know when and where I'm going to pop up. So, the thug kind of does what he wants. So, I guess keep your eye on the Twitter.
All right. Terrific. Sounds good. Well, we'll be tuning into Impact, and we'll definitely be following you on Twitter.
All right, you guys have a great weekend. Enjoy the holiday.
All right, thank you. You too.
All right, take care.
Take care, guys.
Bye.
All right, thank you very much to Aiden O'Shea, a great guest. Had a lot of great insight into TNA. I mean, coaching, OVW, being a trainer.
Yeah.
Man does it all, and I'm sure.
Talk about someone who's been through it all, literally.
Yeah.
So
we'll have to get him on the show again. I mean, unfortunately, we're out of time this week, but
of course,
yeah, hopefully we'll see him down the road, and we can get him back on the show if he starts coming up on Pop.
that would be great. He'll pop. He'll pop up on Pop. You'll never know when he'll pop on Pop.
I'm surprised they haven't used that as a slogan yet.
Yeah. Well, that's true. I mean, with all the debuts happening and whatnot, I think he'd fit in really well, like I was saying. I mean, even if he joined that, they take Al Snow out, let's say, and it's 3-on-2, Aiden O'Shea comes to the rescue for Al Snow's team. Then it's 3 versus 3.
Yeah.
Aiden O'Shea wants to work with Al Snow. He would love to work in the ring with him, as he said. Now imagine Al Snow recovers from injury. He's like, dude, you took my spot on my team. That develops a feud between Aiden O'Shea and Al Snow.
Yeah.
Aiden O'Shea eventually wins that feud and kind of wins that first big feud on Impact, and from there can only go up. You know what I mean? Because if you could beat Al Snow and pick up a victory in a feud like that, then you basically solidify yourself. And we've seen a lot of guys, with that type of build and that type of character and charisma. And he's very good with the fans, That's just one of the many great qualities he has when it comes to fan interaction and just his wrestling ability. And he's also a coach at Al Snow's Academy. So, I mean, yeah, what are we waiting for? We need to get him on TV soon. So.
Yeah. And so, we'll get this podcast up. Is that petition online? Can we find that on the web? Okay.
Well, I know TNA Asylum. I know their Twitter page, so
okay.
I can always connect to them. And because I'm definitely signing it. I mean,
we can post a link to that on our page also.
Yeah.
So hopefully I can get that up once I put this or once we put this podcast up.
Well, I'll be booking out.
Yeah, I'm surprised you stuck around. Well,
yeah.
You're enjoying that.
Well, yeah.
I can't blame you.
The only reason why I have a DJ job, I was supposed to head out like a half hour ago. Yeah,
Things
so
come up.
That's why he said I'm surprised I stuck around, because I told him going into the podcast, I'm like, all right. And I even told Aiden too, and like I said, we reveal all our information, business here on the Stack Card. I told them, I was like, yeah, I'll stick around for about 20 minutes. I'll leave the rest to you. I love TNA. I love Aiden O'Shea's interaction with fans and just his history. That I wanted to sit here and listen to it. I didn't want to leave. And, you know, maybe if it was someone else, I would have been like, okay, it's 5 o'clock. I gotta go. Luckily, I have somebody else holding the event until I get there. So don't worry, I'm not unprofessional. I do have somebody there until I get there. But I just wanted to stick for the whole thing. It was very intriguing to hear about it. And I hope he found us as intriguing as we found him.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, we're good hosts, right?
I think so. I think so.
Yeah. And tomorrow we'll be hosting our Beyond Wrestling C5 and Gigantic after show. So
it's going to be a party.
It's a party.
It's always a party at the Stack Card.
It always is. All right, so I think we're signing off till tomorrow night.
Yeah. We're back with 2 super shows this week.
2 super shows.
And who knows who we'll see tomorrow and who's going to join us on the Stack Card.
Yeah, you never know. You never know.
All right, so till next time, which will be tomorrow, we'll catch you later on, all right? And special shout out to Y2J, Chris Jericho.
Oh, yeah.
Retweeted, save us Y2J. So read that article on our website if you haven't already. So.
What did it get, like 23,000?
23,000 impressions and counting. So
yeah.
I almost took down our site yesterday with all the traffic.
Yeah.
All right.
I got to make an excuse from this job and say that I was in traffic.
Yeah.
I'm going to say, yeah, sorry, I came a little late. I was in traffic. So.
Okay.
I was in Aiden traffic.
Aiden traffic, yeah.
That's
internet traffic.
Internet traffic.
Okay.
All right.
Peace. Love you very much. Good night, guys.